What's up, friends? Welcome into this Hump Day edition of Rock Chalk Sports, ESPN Kansas City and KansasNation.com. With Dan Courtwright, I'm Sean Kellerman. Thanks for joining us as we see a little bit of the snow melt away. Eventually it's going to go away, and then it's supposed to be really cold again the next couple days.
I'm wearing a T-shirt right now.
But you are. You are.
It's the sun was shining. Got to get a little bit of that vitamin D in me.
Yeah.
It's comparatively to this weekend, this is bikini weather.
It is. It's going to be cold, and it's going to be cold at game day, early morning Saturday. But that's a big story right now. KU, BYU, college game day, ESPN. They are coming to Allen Fieldhouse. 8:30, doors are going to open on Saturday, and 10 o'clock, of course, the show will be aired. Also, you can hear that on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
That's right.
Simulcast the edition of College Game Day. So excited to host Jay Billis, Jay Williams, Seth Greenberg, Andrea Carter, Reese Davis, the whole crew from College Game Day here as KU preps to take on BYU, the 14th ranked Jayhawks, I should say, and the 13th ranked Cougars from BYU. Here in the opening segment, though, we're talking some Kansas basketball scheduling news as Kansas is going to be joining another loaded field in the non-conference that just came out a little bit earlier today. Next segment, we're going to go back to Manhattan for the final time. We're going to hear one more post-game interview, an exclusive post-game interview that Greg Gurley had with, I think it was supposed to be Melvin Council, or it was supposed to be Elmarko Jackson. Ended up being both of them. So Melvin and Elmarko, again, as we kind of close the door on what happened on Saturday. K-State's already lost another game since then, as they lost last night. But, of course, KU having this bye week, they have a little bit of a break. So we'll revisit that victory in the Little Apple one more time next segment. Following that, we're talking a little college football portal news. Of course, there was some drama regarding University of Washington quarterback. Yes. Duke University quarterback, and it's interesting.
Two
they went
similar
situations, at least to us, but they went separate ways. So we'll talk about that, update you on some things in the college football portal world. And then following that, it's our KU Mailbag segment. You still have time. Let us know at the Kansas Nation what you want us to talk about. Questions, comments, anything. Dan, can you preview a couple of the questions we've got coming up?
No. Yes, I can. Cole asks, who is the best mailbag question asker? That's a good one.
It's got to be KU Najee.
KU Najee's been killing it.
Yeah.
Keep sending those, by the way. Elliot's always really good, too.
CC's always got some good ones, some hard hitters.
Yeah, my dad's got some good ones. We'll maybe get a definitive answer in the mailbag, but yeah, no, we have some regulars that'll always send in some questions, and we always appreciate them, and they're always hard hitters. Adam Brassel sends some in. Andy Flower sends some in all the time too. So yeah, all of them have a special place in my heart.
Break down KU Mailbag a little bit later in the show. After that, Henry Greenstein, KUSports.com. LJWorld.com. He can't be enjoying this weather as he came straight from the Golden State, but he's back on his normal Wednesday schedule. Henry will join us here in studio to talk all things KU, give his thoughts on the scheduling news, and, of course, where he thinks the Jayhawks are. Plus, Henry had some exclusive conversations, if I'm not mistaken, a little bit earlier today with KU head baseball coach Dan Fitzgerald and head softball coach Jennifer McFall. So excited to hear what Henry has to say, maybe some teasers or some stories he's got coming up. KUSports.com, LJWorld.com.
It's his birthday on Saturday.
Yes. And unlike Shreyas Laddha, who got to celebrate his birthday in Morgantown, Henry will get to celebrate right here in the River City.
The heart of the Midwest.
Yes, at the Mecca of college basketball. Allen Fieldhouse for the Hawks and the Cougars. Close out the show talking a little NFL coaching carousel. The Cleveland Football Browns have a new head coach, and we just haven't visited this with so many NFL openings this offseason, even from teams, franchises who had pretty good seasons last year. We'll update you on new faces and new places, everything that's going on in the NFL world, as we have a chance to kind of dive into some national things now that KU is having this week, focusing solely on BYU and this week in between games. All right, before we get into this CBS Sports Classic news as it relates to our Jayhawks, want to first shout out Crown Automotive. Miles Schneer and his team, great partners of us here at Kansas Nation. They will get you in the vehicle that they need. They've got a great line of new and used vehicles. You can find them on South Iowa in Lawrence, or check out crownautomotive.com. Swing on over if you get a chance and take a look at their selection. Go on in, tell them the guys at Kansas Nation sent you. Great customer service. And again, your needs will be taken care of over at Crown Automotive on South Iowa here in Lawrence. All right, just came out a little bit earlier today. Kansas joining the CBS Sports Classic field through 2029. This is one of college basketball's top showcases in the non-conference, and it's been around since 2014. KU will be joining Kentucky, North Carolina, and Ohio State as participants in the event. Kentucky, UNC, and Ohio State, all programs that have participated in this event, but UCLA is no longer in the event. I'm not sure exactly why, but I have to assume it's because they're conference foes now with Ohio State.
Yeah,
but yes, it began in 2014 on the CBS Sports Television Network. It'll also be streamed live on Paramount Plus, and again, extended through 2029. Going to tell you the important stuff here very shortly. So Saturday, December 19th, KU will take on Ohio State in the first year for the Jayhawks in the CBS Sports Classic. It's going to be played at Madison Square Garden in NYC. Of course, that means that Kentucky will battle North Carolina. In 2027, it'll be KU, UNC. In 2028, KU, Kentucky. And then in 2029, it'll be back to KU and Ohio State. So the Jayhawks and the Buckeyes, who have had some classic battles over the years. Think of 2012 when Aaron Kraft, Jared Solinger came down on Fieldhouse. Solinger didn't play in that game, but KU beat the number 2 ranked Ohio State Buckeyes at Allen Fieldhouse. And then KU was down 11, down 9 going into halftime in the Final Four back in 2012. Kansas came back and won that game behind the likes of Tyshawn and T-Rob. So back to KU and Ohio State.
Jared Solinger win Player of the Year that year? I believe
it was Anthony Davis who won it that year. Right. Thomas Robinson won the ESPN.com National Player of the Year. KU will, and this is very important for anybody who is wondering, continue to play in the Champions Classic. That's been extended through 2028. That's KU Kentucky in 2026 and KU Michigan State in 2027 and KU Duke in 2028. Kansas also going to continue to play in the Players Era Men's Championship in Las Vegas in November this upcoming year. That'll be, of course, during Thanksgiving week, Feast Week. The 2026 Players Era field has expanded to include 8 Big 12 teams now. So a lot of non-conference eyeballs on the Jayhawks, as expected, the biggest brand in college hoops. Dan, your thoughts on this, because Kansas non-con schedule, it's not going to get easier moving forward.
No. Am I crazy to think that maybe this is going? And now, okay, I like it. I really do like it because UCLA no longer in this. Now Kansas slides in, and now this is sort of a quasi kind of Champions Classic adjacent, but we're still in the Champions Classic, and it's us and Kentucky who are now in both, but you're still getting a Big Ten team in Ohio State, and you're still getting an ACC team in North Carolina. My thing is, Kansas is just not going to get a break. I mean, you look at kind of who they're playing, and we kind of know who they're going to be playing. We don't know who they're going to be playing in the Players Era. You have to imagine the way that it is expanding and with how many eyeballs that you're getting on the Players Era. You think that Kansas is going to be matched up with a lot of different really big-time names. Kansas kind of got off a little lucky, I would say, in this year's Players Era tournament after getting Notre Dame and then Syracuse. Now, they did get Tennessee. Kansas wound up beating Tennessee on the day before, or excuse me, the day after Thanksgiving, I guess it was what it would have been. So Kansas got a little lucky there. Can't imagine that Kansas is going to get that lucky this upcoming year against in the Players Era tournament. So looking down the line, this is just adding yet another incredibly tough non-conference game for the Jayhawks. I'm not saying that the Jayhawks can't do it. I'm just saying that you're not catching a break, right? You look at some of the other teams who are in Power 4 who aren't at the level that Kansas is. You look at the Kansas States of the world. You look at the UCFs of the world. You look at anybody else really in the Big 12 other than KU, maybe Houston. You look at their non-con and you go, oh, they're playing the Little Sisters of the Blind and, Mississippi Valley State and the Delta Devils and different teams like that, where Kansas, year in and year out, you're getting Mizzou next year. You're getting, one of the other 3 in the Champions Classic. You're going to get a tough draw in the Players Era tournament. Is Kansas playing UConn next year as well? I can't remember if that was just a home and home.
Stores, yep.
So it'll be at Stores. So you have so many tough games, and Bill Self does a tremendous job in terms of scheduling this, getting all these eyeballs on the program. But Kansas is just not catching a break when it comes to this. You know
they're
what I
doing
mean?
it on purpose.
I understand.
They wouldn't accept
There's going to
this
be a
if
lot
not.
of money involved. I totally get that, right? Obviously, you're
And Kansas
playing
always
something like
schedules
this.
extremely hard.
They do. They absolutely do. But like, I don't know, just in terms of, you want some of those bye games. You want the Towsons and the Davidsons and the Corpus Christis of the
You
world.
will have some of those
I
still.
understand, but still it's taken some away. I do like it, though. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. And, now, is this a case of the Mondays for UCLA? Because are they deeming them not a blue blood
Well, they didn't play this past year. St. John's, or not going to play this year. Let me see if that took place. Yeah, so that was in late December, obviously. It was UNC and Ohio State and Kentucky St. John's. So St. John's was kind of a one-year fill-in for UCLA after UCLA, again, played in 24, and then the conference switches over.
Yeah,
so,
I get it. You don't want two conference teams.
So
in
attacking,
it. I understand that.
attacking the Kansas brand was CBS Sports Classic. The other thing, you look ahead, for what it's worth, in 2027, remember it was announced that Kansas is going to play at Allegiant Stadium against Indiana. So in 2027, and let's real quick before we get back to this upcoming year, 2027, that means that Kansas is going to face North Carolina in the CBS Sports Classic. They're going to face Michigan State in the Champions Classic, and they're going to face Indiana at Allegiant Stadium. And you have to assume if the Players Era Championship is going to continue, which there's no reason to think that it won't. Like the Players Era Championship is right now seeming to be on an ascent to where it's the marquee tournament in college basketball in terms of the non-conference. Trying to make it like a November Madness is the sport of college basketball. And Kansas is going to be right there at the forefront. Of course, that is only talked about through 2026, but you have to assume that's going to be something for Kansas. So in 2027, then you've already got matchups: Champions Classic against Michigan State, Allegiant Stadium against Indiana, CBS Sports Classic against North Carolina, plus you're going to the Players Era Tournament. So yeah, it's going to be loaded. Now, 2026, again, as we've talked about, KU Kentucky, that's going to be in the Champions Classic. You got KU Ohio State in the CBS Sports Classic, and you've got at UConn, as you mentioned, and then the Players Era as well. So if you look at the scheduling, and we don't know this all for sure, some things are going to change, but you do have another year of Missouri. You're done with your home and home with NC State. They came to our place, you went to their place. So NC State is done. I think, and this isn't related to 2026 either, I think you dump Missouri after 2026. There's too many other options to...
this is where we disagree.
There's too many other options for Kansas from a money-making standpoint. And it's important for Missouri to have a marquee game against Kansas. Good for them. If they can get Kansas to schedule them, then they're going to take that opportunity. Kansas doesn't gain much. I mean, Missouri is at best a bubble team. Aside from asserting your dominance over and over again, we won the Civil War, we continue to kill you in basketball, that sort of thing. It's just one of those things where Kansas, it doesn't do much from a scheduling standpoint. I just think this is awesome because, we'll see who all is in the Players Era field and moving forward, and I can see if that's updated now, as they did recently announce the other 4 Big 12 teams that are going to be in the Players Era. But, Kentucky, that's a team who's going to be in both of these events as well. So Kansas and Kentucky, arguably the top 2 brands in all of college basketball, are going to be in there. But yeah, I mean, it's going to be tough. You're still going to have your bye games. You look this year, look at those teams you just mentioned. KU also played Green Bay. I mean, Kansas very much had to go to NC State, and you had to play UConn, and you had the Players Era, and you had the Champions Classic, but you still had the games of Towson, Davidson, Corpus Christi, Green Bay, that sort of thing, Princeton, where you need to get right. So you're going to have a ton of them, but yeah, there's just not going to be as many as KU continues to schedule difficult.
I have an issue. We disagree. We agree on a lot of things, most things, which makes probably for bad radio. But I disagree with you about dumping Mizzou. I think that I get it. In terms of money making, that's the name of the game right now. If you can get into one of these, the CBS Champions or the State Farm Champions Classic or whatever it may be, the Players Era, you need to get into those. But in order to preserve history, you need to have Mizzou, I think, back on the schedule. I think that needs to be something that is a year in, year out, because that goes and proves that there is such thing as good versus evil, and good will win. And Kansas will win those games typically, right? Obviously, we lost last year at Mizzou. That stunk because they stormed the court, and that was not fun. But I just think that there's too much history there, and I think that that was one of the great rivalries that was taken away due to the early years of conference realignment when Mizzou left to go to the SEC to be a middling SEC school, middling to lower tier SEC school in all sports everywhere. I think you need that. I understand, but you have Storage Mart who sponsors it, right? So you have money coming in to be able to sponsor that, to be able to have it at the venues. Now, granted, I want them at home. I want them to be home and homes. I want to play in Columbia and in Lawrence. I'm not crazy about the T-Mobile Center. That's the one compromise that I'm like, all right, whatever. I'm not crazy about it. You need those on campus. But I think you need that game. I think that if you're going to dump any of them, I mean, the UConn game is such a huge game. Obviously, you get Dan Hurley. You're going out to Stores. But I think you need to preserve the Mizzou game. I don't know. That's just my take on it. I think that you absolutely need to keep that Mizzou game on there, just in terms of like historical value. I know that there's not as much money to be made as like you said in the Players Era tournament, where every single player got $300,000. Players aren't going to get any money for the Mizzou game, but that preserves the purity of the sport. I think. Also, granted, I think it's good for me to get a little hatred in my heart every once in a while. I'm not filled with that much hatred. I always expend it on Mizzou, so I need that every year, or else I'm just going to get pent up.
Oh, I love the hatred. Don't get me wrong, but it's dollars and cents, as they say, and I don't.
There's two things in this world. One of them is money.
The only thing that would make me change my mind is if we lose to Mizzou next year at T-Mobile. Because then
you want a rematch.
Then I'd be like, I want a rematch. But even though Kansas has won 4 of 5, and in all likelihood will win 5 of 6, but I don't think you need that game. I mentioned North Carolina State. Also, North Carolina. Kansas is done with a home and home with them. So we know that Kansas has the return trip to Stores after UConn got us at Allen Fieldhouse. You'll have 3 at the Players Era. And I think we touched on all of the, quote, bye games, if you will, with Green Bay, Corpus Christi, Princeton, Towson, and Davidson.
Yeah.
Those are the 5 that Kansas had. I think you'll still be able to stick with that number. And honestly, these conversations about scheduling have happened years in the making.
Yeah.
So there's going to be probably another announcement at some point. We have no idea when it'll be, of another marquee opponent I would expect for Kansas, because North Carolina this year and North Carolina State this year, those were the 2 teams that were outside of the Players Era, the Champions Classic, and UConn, right? Because then you have Mizzou. So there's room with the non-conference slate, which is 13 games. Mm-hmm. There's room for one more home and home, meaning one more marquee opponent. And this would probably be at Allen Fieldhouse. So your marquee opponent on the road is going to be UConn.
Yeah.
Your marquee opponent on the road this year was UNC, and then you had UConn at home this year, and you had NC State on the road this year. I just think that something will come out to where Kansas will host, who knows who it'll be. Like it could be, maybe it won't be like a Indiana or somebody that's considered a blue blood, or maybe not like a Louisville, but maybe it'll be somebody from the Big East, like a Villanova or a Georgetown or somebody like that, or an SEC team. There could be some SEC flair.
Well, Georgetown is not good. That wouldn't be necessarily marquee.
Kansas has played games in the past against Seton Hall, and and that was Big 12 Big East Challenge, so that might be a little bit different. But
would you be opposed to having the Big 12 SEC Challenge come back? Do you remember those weird?
I would be opposed to it if it's in the middle of January.
End of January.
If it's going to be non-con, I would be fine. But
granted, Kansas did beat Kentucky a couple years ago in that, and then that kind of springboarded them to a better end to the year.
It was 2023. Kansas had lost 3 straight games. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Jalen Wilson and his crew went to Rupp Arena and won. That was potentially going to be a 4-game losing streak for Kansas, which is unheard of. KU ends up getting a 1 seed still that year, despite having a 3-game streak. Pretty good. Anyway, let's look at it this way: 13 games. 3 are Players Era.
Yes.
1 is Mizzou. 1 is UConn. 1 is Ohio State. 1 is Kentucky. 5 are 5 bye games. So that gets us to 12. So there's spots
so
for
you got one more
and again,
marquee matchup.
And that matchup is almost certainly, in my opinion, going to be at Allen Fieldhouse because you're
Right.
at UConn. So who's it going to be? We have to see. But the point is, there was room for this CBS Sports, and that's what we're talking about right now, is that KU men's basketball joining the CBS Sports Classic field through 2029. There was room for this. And since you're done with UNC in that little series, home and home, you're done with NC State in that little home and home series. Next year, you're going to be done with Mizzou. Then essentially you replace next year that Mizzou game, in my opinion, with Indiana and Vegas.
Yeah.
Then you got to replace UConn as well. A couple different home and homes upcoming for Kansas.
Sure. And, let's look at it from this lens too. I guess, you have North Carolina and Kentucky in the new one in the CBS Sports Classic. You also have Duke, Michigan State, and Kentucky in the Champions Classic. So take those out. Probably not going to do a home and home with any of those teams, including Ohio State as well. So looking at the other blue bloods, I mean, you got the Michigans of the world, right? You got Michigan, you got Arkansas too. That could be something potentially to look forward to. Like you said, there is room for it. It's just seemingly there is. I guess with this coming about and scheduling it this far in advance, that was just my oh crap, we're losing more bye games. But I guess when you break it down by the numbers, Kansas is still going to have the same amount of bye games, and then you're still going to have these marquee matchups at the beginning of the year. They're going to have a lot of eyeballs on them, and they're going to have a lot of money in revenue coming in. Yeah,
essentially, I guess another way to look at it is you've got the UNC and NC State series that are ending. And then you've got UConn. Well, you got to go to UConn, but then you have room for two more. So one of them's a CBS Sports, and the other's going to be a home game against a marquee matchup in December like we're used to. So anyway, that's the news of the day regarding KU basketball through 2029. KU is going to be a part of the CBS Sports Classic. Again, in terms of nuts and bolts, it's going to be at Madison Square Garden in New York City for 2026, Saturday, December 19th. So get that on your calendar. KU and Ohio State. The other matchup is UNC and Kentucky. KU will take on UNC in 2027, Kentucky in 2028, and then Ohio State again in 2029. In terms of the Champions Classic, KU will remain. It's going to be KU Kentucky in 2026. And then in terms of the Players Era, that's still going to remain a thing for Kansas, as during Thanksgiving in 2026, they will be part of the expanded again now 32-team field in the Players Era. The 8 Big 12 teams that will be in the 2026 32-team Players Era field: KU, Houston, Iowa State, Baylor, K-State, TCU, Texas Tech, and West Virginia. Obviously, full field announcements and all sorts of other questions to be answered. I assume with 32 teams, they're going to do a 32-team bracket like the NIT did, compared to the kind of the weird pod system that it was.
Wasn't crazy about it.
There will be, double elimination and third place. Yeah, I'd imagine where probably the third game of that tournament, we won't know any potential times or opponents until, day 2 is completely over. But still really exciting. Kansas has a lot of cool opportunities. And then mentioned also 2027, KU will be going to Vegas earlier in November to take on Indiana. That's at Allegiant Stadium. Should the Players Era continue, which absolutely every indication is it will, I'm guessing it'll remain in Vegas. It'll just be a little bit later in November. So Kansas could have 2 trips to Sin City in November 2027.
That's all right with me.
Some scheduling tidbits there for Kansas basketball. After this, we're going to go back to the Little Apple as we're here from Elmarko Jackson and Melvin Council as they joined Greg Gurley in a post-game interview. KU over K-State on Saturday, 86-62. Rock Chalk Sports rolls on. ESPN Kansas City and KansasNation.com. KansasNation.com, the place to go for all your coverage of KU, plus a lot of different personalities, a lot of different outlooks on different things. And we've got a new podcast, Dan, that features Greg Gurley and Mick Schaefer, and they go beyond just the KU side of things. A lot of Kansas City chatter as well. Mick Schaefer, of course, the sports director at KSHB 41 in KC. But new episodes up.
Yes, 2 guys, between 2 fountains. Between two fountains.
Were you confused?
No, I was.
Two guys between a fountain? Is that what you're going to say?
Yeah. Between Two Fountains is the name of the show. It's a lot of fun. It's so much fun. Greg Gurley and Mick Schaefer, two of the best personalities that you'll see anywhere. There's two fountains, and they're between them. Check that out everywhere you get your podcasts. YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud, everywhere you get your podcasts. Really great podcasts. And those two guys are just a joy to listen to. And check out everything, by the way, all over our social media platforms. At the Kansas Nation on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. Facebook is just Kansas Nation. Check out YouTube as well, putting out a lot of great content, putting out clips from all the shows. It'll be a lot of fun. So be sure to check that out. Check us out on YouTube, and make sure to check out Kansas Nation. Why are you laughing? KansasNation.com.
Yes, there are two fountains, just so everybody to know, and they are
they're between the fountains.
They're between the two fountains. You're right.
It took about 8 months to come up with that name.
It did take a while, but they settled on Between Two Fountains. And new episodes is up there. And again, if you want to listen to some of our other stuff, Haney and the Hawks featuring Tyshawn Taylor. You're a mess right now. And then Tyshawn's got his own podcast as well, hosted by Rock,
and
yes.
Tyshawn Taylor.
Yeah, absolutely.
A lot of fun. That's a great
Jay Hawker as well.
Podcast.
We got to plug that. Jay Hawker with Melvin Council Jr. He sat down with Nate Bukaty and Mike DeCourcy, also college basketball analyst. National.
Yeah, sat down with Nate Bukaty. It was a lot of fun.
Nationally, Mike DeCourcy.
Bukaty and Melvin were in person, and that was a lot of fun.
Yeah,
Melvin Council talked about all the fans and how excited they were, and just how pumped up they get him. And he has another clip that I want to put out today about him being a dog and kind of where that came from too. So that conversation with Melvin is a lot of fun. Melvin is just another guy great person. Why, stop laughing at me.
He can't. Melvin is, though, yeah, and I know that we've got some mailbag questions regarding Melvin as well. But, yeah, Mike DeCourcy, college basketball analyst, he joined Nate last week. So all that stuff's up on KansasNation.com. And, again, follow us on socials as well. We better collect ourselves while we go to Postgame Manhattan. Elmarko Jackson and Melvin Council joined Greg Gurley. Exclusive postgame interview. KU blows out K-State in the Dillon Sunflower Showdown.
I'm joined by the two stars of the night, Melvin Council Jr. and Elmarko Jackson. Let's start with Elmarko. How about the team's defensive effort making it really difficult on P.J. Haggerty tonight?
It was an emphasis the whole week leading up to the game, and, we struggled a little bit in the first half. We knew that, but we came in and, we had some words shared between the group, just talking about how we need to lock in and, play to our capabilities, and we came out second half and, we did what we were supposed to do.
And I'll get to Melvin's numbers here in a second, but I want your opinion on how good was Elmarko Jackson tonight.
All I got to say is Vegas, man. He was that Vegas dog today, man. I'm happy for him. I like when he come off the bench and give me a spark, and I'm just proud of him right now.
Well, that's how you close out a game. We get the non-call that we thought we were going to get a couple free throws, and Haggerty hits a three, makes it a 4-point game. And what do you guys do? You don't let it affect you. You go on a 20-point run, win it by 24.
Yeah, it's just a testament to our, defense, our culture, and our toughness as a team. No matter the score, we never waver. It's just fun being a part of a team like this where, we compete every play and, we can go on big stretches like this. I feel like it makes us very dangerous. So.
Now, since I got you two together, I'm going to ask you about Melvin.
Yeah.
He flirted with a triple-double tonight. You know that? He was 3 rebounds shy of a triple-double.
I feel like he always, high-key does this, He's very effective. He's very in tune with the game. He's got a high IQ. So I feel like, to me, it's nothing really surprising because I just know the caliber of player he is. So I know, he was close another game as well. I think he was like 1 rebound away another game. So I feel like, he'll get one along the course of the season.
How much fun was it at the end of the game to dance a little bit?
It was fun, I just love the guys, man. I told the guys if we get a stretch, the game was close to do it. But, we was up big, so I told the guys I got them because they got my back, so I got their back.
Now you get a little break, kind of like an off week. We don't play again until Saturday, a chance for everyone to kind of re-energize, and then the really, really difficult part of the schedule starts. BYU on Saturday, and then 2 days later against Texas Tech.
You know, it's really exciting. I'm glad we got this little week stretch off, but, you know, these type of games is why, you know, we came here to KU and, you know, chose to play in the Big 12. It's going to be fun.
And that's why you came here. College game day is coming on Saturday. Excited about that?
Very exciting. I can't wait.
All right. Travel safe, and we'll see you next Saturday. Great game.
Sir, thank you.
That is Melvin Council and Elmarko Jackson post-game. Dan, both these guys had great games. It's impossible to pick a player of the game, at least in my opinion, from Saturday. I know it seems like a while ago, but hey, we don't have a game to talk about this week.
Right.
Council, 17, 12, 1 turnover. He had 7 rebounds. Jackson had a career-high 19. Obviously, Elmarko was great in that game against Tennessee when Kansas didn't have Darren Peterson as well. So he definitely seems to just be pushing all the right buttons. And certainly Jeremy Kay said at Hawk Talk over at Johnny's on Monday, if he can become a top 2 defender for this team, that's what they want to see. And then shout out Tiller, 16. Bidunga had 21 and 10 and was awesome defensively as well. A lot of good came from Saturday.
Yeah, I think KU put out a post that said their players of the game were all 4 of those guys. It was Flory, it was Melvin, it was Elmarko, and it was Bryson Tiller. Just because, like, they couldn't pick one either. And I think if you're going to narrow it down to 2, also you don't really want to narrow it down to 2 because Bryson and Flory were so good, but just the 2 guards who were playing with Melvin and Elmarko were just fabulous in that K-State game. And you look at what Elmarko did, came off the bench, scored 19 points, had a couple of big-time threes, and I think what he does on the defensive side of the ball is not talked about enough. I think the effort that he puts into it, the hedging that he can do, getting in the passing lanes that he can do. I don't know if he had any steals in that game, but still he was causing disruption. He was causing kind of chaos on the defensive side of the ball, which is really important. And props to Coach Self, not saying that he wouldn't have seen this, but he noticed it right away. Jamari was in the game. Jamari was doing absolutely nothing. So he went ahead and flipped it, put Elmarko in, and it was Elmarko's night, man. He just completely took over. Like I said, 19 points coming off the bench. That's his career high that he's had here at Kansas. Just an excellent job. And then you look at Melvin, triple-double watch, 12 assists and 17 points. I mean, that's just unbelievable in terms of facilitation and being able to finish shots as well. Melvin, we're seeing him really come to the forefront as to being that leader. And I know we constantly talk about, whenever Darren's out, Melvin has a great game. And you don't want to talk about that anymore because you want Darren out there in the game. But they're starting to learn how to play with each other. We've seen that. We saw it in the Iowa State game. We saw it in the Baylor game. We saw it in the Colorado game. These guys are continuing to get better with their chemistry. You didn't want it to take this long, and obviously that there was the extended cramping issues, and then now with the twisted ankle, Darren didn't play against Kansas State, so Melvin had to really step it up there. But you're seeing the chemistry really start to grow between the 2, and Melvin can take a step back whenever he needs to, but also his aggressiveness towards the basket, the way that he defends, the way that he can get in there and grab those rebounds. He had 7 boards with a 7'2" guy and a 6'10" guy in there for Kansas State. So the upside of having Melvin Council on this program is just immense, and you can't say enough great things about him. And you almost want to look at him and say he's been the player of the year for Kansas, just in terms of what he's brought to the table.
And how about just the vibe that he's brought to the program compared to what it was the last couple of seasons? And we don't want to, throw any of those guys under the bus or anything, but I mentioned this as kind of a fan going into the game on Saturday. There's just a more confident mindset. And it hasn't worked out perfectly. KU lost at UCF and lost at West Virginia. But there's a more confident mindset, I think, as a fan, because you can feel the confidence these players have. And Trey White's a big part of that. Obviously, an improved Flory Bidunga's a big part of that, and other guys as well. But it seems to all start with Melvin Council, and you can't say enough about what he's done for the program, and probably his only year here at KU. And he's really brought back the good vibes, brought back kind of the toughness, the road dog mentality. Kansas is going to need more than that. They're going to need more moving forward. We're only 7 games in to this 18-game conference slate, and KU's toughest tests are certainly ahead. But it's been a lot of fun to watch. And again, Elmarko, he's really coming alive, particularly defensively. But kind of what I was saying to Kevin the other day on the show, it seems like we're no longer talking about two different teams.
Right.
The team with Peterson and the team without. It's just these are the 5 guys that are out there right now. And Elmarko and Jamari seem to understand that their role might be a little bit different if Peterson isn't out there. And I think Council is starting to get that as well. And Trey White's starting to get that as well. They're just becoming more of a team. And they looked really comfortable without DP, just as they looked really comfortable with DP in the games against Iowa State and Baylor. So a lot of good stuff there for KU basketball. After this, we're going to talk a little college football transfer portal. And later on in the show, stick around. We've got a KU mailbag segment where we hear from you guys, and also Henry Greenstein straight from California. That's next. Rock Chalk Sports, ESPN Kansas City and KansasNation.com. Sean Kellerman, Dan Courtwright back with you for Rock Chalk Sports. Got some interesting news regarding college football and the transfer portal, and we know that there have been some particular quarterbacks in the news recently, guys who have wanted to transfer and been told nope, guys who have wanted to transfer and been told yes they can, and
guys
lots
who
to get into.
wanted to transfer, been told no, and then told yes.
Yes, yeah, very, very interesting. NCAA and the portal, it's a mess right now. But first, we do want to recognize some of our new partners here at Kansas Nation. Central Bank. Central Bank, just like Jayhawk fans, knows that there's a certain energy that comes with Jayhawk basketball, with the crowd rising together, the band playing, that unmistakable moment when the fans lift their arms and wave the wheat. It's a tradition that represents pride, unity, and Jayhawk spirit. With Jayhawk checking from Central Bank, that tradition does not stop when the game ends. Jayhawk fans can carry that pride wherever they go with the official Jayhawk debit card, a simple way to show your school spirit every day. Central Bank is proud to support the traditions and communities that bring people together. As the proud banking partner of the University of Kansas, Central Bank is committed to serving Jayhawk fans with banking options designed for real life. On campus, at work, everywhere in between. If you're ready to wave the wheat beyond the stands, learn more about Jayhawk Checking and the exclusive debit card at jayhawkchecking.com. Jayhawkchecking.com. Central Bank, the proud community banking partner of the University of Kansas, member FDIC. Appreciate their partnership, and just fired up to have that going here at Kansas Nation.
Every time you swipe your card, your hands will inadvertently shoot up.
That's how it goes.
And start waving the wheat.
Yes.
It's amazing. I don't know how they do it, but it's something in the card radio waves. I don't know what it is, but it's pretty crazy.
The ACC champion Duke football team are losing their quarterback, Dan. Kind of catch us up to date on Darian Mensah, who of course went to Duke by way of Tulane, and is par for the course right now with everything in the NCAA. A lot of drama surrounding this case.
Yeah. So you can kind of start from the beginning. So Darian Mensah, like you said, transferred over to Duke from Tulane and had a really good year. They wound up winning the ACC. Didn't make it to the college football playoff because Miami was there, and also they didn't have a good enough record, I don't think. But still was a very, very good quarterback. Wanted to enter the transfer portal, but then Duke said, no. You actually signed an NIL deal. So apparently Darian Mensah and Duke have agreed to a settlement on their dispute that has cleared way for the quarterback to actually commit to Miami. This is per Max Olson on ESPN. Mensah confirmed his commitment to the Hurricanes on social media Tuesday, and will be joined by wide receiver Cooper Burkhardt, his top target with the Blue Devils. Both committed on Tuesday night after the duo dined at a steakhouse in Miami Beach alongside some current and former Miami players.
Sounds like a good night.
Doesn't it sound great? But Duke officials, so when this all happened, Duke actually sued Mensah in Durham County Superior Court January 20th in an attempt to prevent him from transferring to try to enforce the multi-year NIL contract that he signed with the school. So this is something that we've seen with Damon Williams over at Washington, where he signed a contract, an NIL contract with the University of Washington for, I think it was like $4 million. It was a good chunk of change. And then he entered the transfer portal, or tried to enter the transfer portal. And then Washington said, you signed this contract for $4 million. You're going to stay here, or you're going to pay us back.
Which you've been on record saying that you think that's the answer, if I'm not mistaken, in regards to college athletics and NIL.
I do.
And the transfer portal.
So I don't, and yes, in the transfer portal, NIL.
And the transfer portal.
There you go. So I do think that is the answer, is make it to where you sign ironclad contracts. If they sign the contract, they cannot go anywhere. Now, this is very different now because, and I think this is going to open up another door, another weird door in terms of NIL.
And the transfer portal.
There you go. Come on.
Sorry, I was looking at I was looking at this Mensa article and I was locked in. Not that I don't listen to every word you said.
Of course. So apparently Duke and Mensa have settled, and they said, all right, fine, whatever, go. They're not going to pay him, obviously, the NIL money anymore. Now he's going to go over to Miami. But one of the reasons that this essentially was either settled or whatever is because that Mensa was technically not an employee. And that's how I think that they should be treated as employees. I think the contracts and becoming an employee with the school go hand in hand in a sense, right? I mean, you look at what Colorado is doing. Colorado is now putting out fines for students. For student athletes, saying, hey, if you're late, it's $300. If you wear your old team's clothing from wherever you transferred in from, it's $200 or whatever it may be. The problem with that is that is technically illegal. You cannot fine somebody if they're not an employee. So the word employee is important here. The fact that Darian Mensa was able to get out of this is because he was not an employee of of Duke University. Yes, he signed a multi-year NIL contract for millions of dollars, but he technically was not an employee. That's one of the reasons that he was able to get out of this. So I think that you're going to start seeing this move forward, but the thing is, the NCAA still does not recognize student athletes as employees because at that point, it just becomes professional. Now, you're sitting in this waiting game thinking, okay, well, it already pretty much is. Now you're just talking words. You're talking labels. You're talking titles, right? They don't get the same protections that a lot of employees do either. They don't get, health insurance. They don't get pensions. They don't get, different things, different protections that should be given to you, equal opportunity employment. Those kind of things are not provided to the student athletes, even though they are being paid many millions of dollars, sometimes hundreds of thousands of dollars, whatever it may be. They're not getting the same benefits that all employees are supposed to be getting. So that's where I think that this is going to open up another weird door to where now you're going to start seeing the word employees either come about and you're going to start talking about student athletes as they are employees, just like Patrick Mahomes is an employee of the Chiefs because that's his job. He gets paid to do it. Meanwhile, you have other guys who are in college who get paid to play football, but they are not technically employees and they do not have the same kind of benefits that Patrick Mahomes does in terms of, being cut, being fired, whatever it may be. Now, the NCAA doesn't want to do this because then that means the NCAA is going to have to start paying these kids. Right. That is the main reason that they want to stay away from this. That's the main reason why a lot of this is so messy and so murky is because the NCAA, they don't want to pay a dime, even though they are making many billions of dollars on these children. And by the way, I have been openly kids, whatever, not children. Some of them are. I don't know. I've been openly critical of the NCAA and the way that they've handled a lot of things. And this is one of them. And they need to adjust. They need to change, or college athletics needs to move away from the NCAA and create another entity like the NFL with a players' union, with commissioners for conferences. They need to get away from the NCAA. That's what I think that the way that we're seeing right now with the snowball effect, that's what is happening. And I think that is the obvious, I think, next step.
Miami and getting Mensa, the transfer from Duke, they go from Cam Ward to Carson Beck to Darian Mensa. So this is kind of how the U has come back to being a national power, is getting these rentals out of the portal, top tier quarterbacks that they've got a lot of money behind. And I guess Mensa is going to stay in the ACC, and that cannot make the people in Durham happy. Other news really quick, because I know we're up against a break. College football announcing changes to the targeting rule could be on the horizon. Flags for targeting are on the decline over recent seasons, and this is an article I'm reading, Carter Bonds on CBSSports.com. But targeting flags, obviously, very controversial right now with how it is you get ejected from the game if it's in the first half. If it occurs in the second half, you're ejected from the game and then also can't play until the second half of the following game.
Ooh, okay.
National Coordinator of Officials Steve Shaw, who also serves as the NCAA's Secretary of Rules Editor, told Yahoo Sports that the decision makers will analyze the targeting rule and potentially make penalties less punitive. He said, quote, "We're going to have a discussion on targeting. That needs to be an annual discussion. It will be a focused discussion," end quote. The NCAA introduced the targeting rule in 2008 as a player safety measure. Obviously, that was kind of the beginning of, at least as I remember it, CTE coming to the forefront and people realizing how dangerous a game football really is. The rule always resulted in a 15-yard penalty, but it was changed back in 2013 to also carry that automatic ejection that I just mentioned, and the fact that it could affect your next game as well. Kansas had a couple players affected by this. They had a couple opposing players affected by this as well, but that's interesting. Do you have any major thoughts on the targeting rule as it is, of course, with ejected for the game if it's in the first half, ejected for the first half of the following game, in addition to that game if it's in the second half?
I mean, I like the way that it is right now. Obviously, there needs to be some rules put into place to make the game safer. I think that's how football stays relevant. If you're looking at football right now, football's king, but it very easily could fall out of that place because of safety regulations being deregulated. You need to make it safer. Now, I'm not saying go flag football, but I think that, you know, where the targeting sits right now. Now, obviously, it's all subjective too, right? It's all about placing the head of the, you know, the crown of the helmet down, and is it with malice? Is it intentional? Was it an accident? Did they just run into each other? Whatever that may be. And I think that they have made major strides. I mean, I think that the Guardian caps are the ugliest thing in the world, but at the same time, that's making it more safe for guys. So I don't have any major issues kind of with where it is right now. Obviously, just you need to. I think football, the NFL, and college has done a really, really good job in terms of making sure that the game is progressively getting safer just to maintain their relevance. You look at boxing from the late 1800s up until probably, the 1950s, 1960s. Boxing was the biggest thing in the world. Then all of a sudden, guys were getting brain injuries. You see Muhammad Ali. You see a number of different guys just, you know, it's really impacting their health, and it kind of goes away because people think, it's too dangerous, it's violent, and, you know, people don't want to, you know, see that when they know for a fact that it's just going to be. We saw that with boxing in the early part of the 20th century, and I don't think that you want to see that with football. So you need to continue to make it safer.
Yeah, we'll see what happens from a rules standpoint, but there have been good strides in terms of making the game safer, which has been good to see on all levels. After this, we are going to do our KU Mailbag segment before Greenstein comes in. The following segment, Rock Chalk Sports, here on a Wednesday, live in the Kansas Nation studio, kansasnation.com, ESPN, Kansas City. Welcome back to Rock Chalk Sports, brought to you this segment by Game Day Men's Health Lawrence. Mitch Bales, good friend of ours. We were able to break some bread with him last week here in the Kansas Nation studio. Always love getting a chance to catch up with Mitch. He is the franchise administrator.
Good hang.
Over at Game Day Men's Health Lawrence, and is a great hang. Yeah, he's one of our members here at Kansas Nation, and enjoyed meeting with Mitch and some other people here. And got to tell you about Game Day Men's Health Lawrence. Plush man cave-like setting. They're a full-fledged medical clinic here in Lawrence, but it doesn't feel like you're walking into a doctor's office. They make you feel comfortable. They've got TVs, food, beverages, what you need. But the reason you go there, get yourself checked out. If you're not feeling as good as you did perhaps in your younger days, maybe you're low on energy and unable to perform at work, at the gym, at home, the way that you want, then they can help you out over at Game Day Men's Health Lawrence. If you think you're struggling with low T, perhaps ED, as 50% of men struggle with at some point in their life, then you can go and see what they have to say about that at Game Day Men's Health Lawrence. They can help you get back in the game. Shout out to Mitch, Sam Abram, everybody over there, the great work that they do. Game Day Men's Health Lawrence. Check them out, or check them out online. All right, KU Mailbag segment. Dan, excited for this. Big news today.
Do you know why?
Why?
It's my favorite segment.
Tell me.
It's by the people, and it's for the people.
It is. It is.
Yeah,
and it is
news.
not for Bill Belichick.
No, big news for today. Cody He says, is it fair to keep Bill Belichick out of the Hall of Fame from his first ballot?
So he's won 8 Super Bowls, if I'm not mistaken.
I believe he's been a part of 8 Super Bowl wins. He has won 6 as a head coach. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
So how many did Brady win?
Brady won 7 total, 6 with the Patriots.
6 with the Patriots. Okay, that's right. So Brady won 7. Belichick. That's the thing is like, I get it, and you can get into this Spygate, Deflategate. That's what it is. But athletes, everybody's in an uproar today because of this.
Yes. So Bill Belichick is now up for the Hall of Fame and arguably the greatest head coach of all time. You know, you got your Don Shula's, who is the only coach ahead of Bill Belichick in terms of wins. Bill Belichick is the second winningest coach in NFL history. You have your Lombardis, your Hank Strams, there's a lot of different guys, but I think Bill Belichick is probably a top 3 maybe coach of all time. I think you could say he may be the greatest coach of all time. I don't think that's out of the realm of possibility.
So why is he out of the Hall of Fame?
So here's the reason why he's out of the Hall of Fame. According to ESPN, Bill Polian.
At least at this point.
To this point. Bill Polian, who was the former Bills and Colts GM, was very vocal about the Hall of Fame allowing Bill Belichick in on his first year because of Spygate and Deflategate. He said, he told some voters that he believed that Belichick should, quote, wait a year as penance for Spygate. So this is one more kind of like, hey, man, F you for spying on us, for cheating, which he did, by the way. That's not going to go out of, he did that. Granted, a lot of people do a lot of shady things, right? You look at Jim Harbaugh at Michigan. You look at just a number of different things where guys get in trouble and they try to get a competitive advantage. Now, Deflategate was not Bill Belichick's fault. That was Tom Brady. Tom Brady was the one who wanted the balls to be deflated so they were easier to throw and easier to catch. In terms of Spygate, that was all Bill Belichick behind that. And I think that is way worse. You're literally hiring guys to pretend to be window washers with video cameras, trying to, record practices to get a competitive advantage. That's not okay. Bill Polian, his thing was, hey, I don't think we should just forget that. I get the fact that he won 6 Super Bowls as a head coach, was a part of 8 Super Bowl winning teams, is one of the greatest and second most winningest coach in NFL history. He should be a first ballot Hall of Famer. But as one last, hey, Spygate should be more of a stain on your record. And the way that we are going to do that is by saying you're not going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. You'll get in the next year. You'll get in 6 years, not 5. But you should serve a year as he said, penance for Spygate, which...
That's stupid.
I think I disagree.
Who cares?
I think I disagree.
Okay. Explain.
Who cares if you're first ballot or not? I mean, he's still going to get in the Hall of Fame.
Right. No, I agree. I think
that it's important for people to know that he was a part of that he was the ringleader of Spygate.
Okay, fine. People already know that.
People are going to forget. Hell,
people are going to forget.
Now, granted, Cody did text me and said that O.J. Simpson is still in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, I mean, obviously everybody...
He was put in the Hall of Fame before, obviously. And also, what he did was not... Again, I'm not going to say anything, but what he did was not in terms of football. What Bill Belichick did was football related. He cheated. And I think that there should be some kind of punishment. And he served that punishment.
1 year is appropriate?
I think 1 year is appropriate. Okay. I think he'll get in next year. There's no question about it.
Yeah, he didn't receive, according to sources, he didn't receive 40 of the necessary 50 for the 80% necessary percentage, I guess, if you will, for the Hall induction during the first year of eligibility. Tom Brady, the most recent to slam the snub of Belichick, saying, quote, I don't understand it. I mean, I was with him every day. If he's not a first ballot Hall of Famer, there's really no coach that should ever be a first ballot Hall of Famer, which is completely ridiculous because people deserve it. He's incredible. There's no coach I'd rather play for. If I'm picking one coach to go out there to win a Super Bowl, give me one season. I'm taking Bill Belichick, so that's enough said.
Maybe I'm just being a hater.
Well, okay. I think it comes down to the importance, and I think I know your answer to this based on what you just said. There is a little bit of an allure behind being a first ballot Hall of Famer.
Sure.
There is. And if you think that's no big deal, he's going to get in the Hall of Fame either way, then your opinion's your opinion. But I'm just saying that is different than just, having to wait a year to take out a loan or something. I mean, you have to do it. He's going to be a Hall of Famer, but obviously he's not going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer, and you can't change that now, but there is a little bit of an extra sparkle to that.
Yeah, I get it. But still, I think that you shouldn't be so quick to forget all of the shadiness that there was in that organization at the time. I think that he flat out cheated. He served a suspension, and then everything was peachy keen, and everybody just forgot about it. I think that there should be some kind of, it's certainly a stain on his resume as a head coach, and you're still going to get into the Hall of Fame. Who cares? I get it that there is more of an allure to be a first ballot Hall of Famer, and everybody's going to agree that he should be a first ballot Hall of Famer. I think that it's important to note that everyone agrees he should be first ballot, but they're going to not allow that because of his cheating in the past.
Appreciate that question coming in from Cody.
Maybe I'm in the minority. Maybe I'm being a hater. Maybe I just hate the Patriots so much that I'm okay with this. And that's fine, but he cheated.
Colin wants to know, who do you think needs to be added to the rotation so far? It's just 7 mostly, but who needs to be the 8th? Of course, talking KU hoops. Dan, your thoughts? It's been kind of a strange year in terms of rotationally for Kansas. I mean, if you rewind back to the offseason, one of the first portal gets that Kansas got was Jaden Dawson. And he was, supposed to be that guy who came in and was the sharpshooter, shot nearly 40% from 3 at Loyola Chicago, came in as a senior. And he's had to sit out a couple games because of minor injuries here and there, and just hasn't been able to work his way into the rotation. And then the other guy that's, I'm sure, in this conversation is Cole Rosario. Rosario, different situation where all of a sudden Kansas adds him late. It was, late May, maybe even early June that Kansas added Rosario. And then he goes through an unbelievable ascent to where people are talking about, man, this kid's actually going to be an impact player. Oh my God, this kid might actually start. And then all of a sudden he's starting, and now he's slipped out of the rotation, and Kansas has gone to that 7 spot. I don't think there would be another name unless I'm missing somebody that would potentially be the 8th, but it seems to be Dawson or Rosario, and those guys are going to have to step up at some point, unquestionably, for Kansas. But your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think when you look at it right now, really it's Jamari and Elmarko. It's got to be Cole, right? It absolutely has to be Cole. I think you look at Jaden Dawson, and you kind of like the minutes that he's putting out there, and with, Jamari not playing as well, I think that it's got to be Cole. I think it absolutely has to be Cole. Now, granted, is he there yet? Probably not. Again, this is something that we've been continuously talking about, is that he is not there yet. Cole Rosario has the raw athletic ability to be an impact player at some point. He started off the year, and it was shaky. It wasn't great. And his shooting wasn't great. He was biting on things on the defensive side of the ball that he shouldn't be biting on. He was jumping up and getting rebounds and playing good defense, sure. But he's just not there yet. I think that he's improved tremendously throughout this year. And, he was kind of in that 7-minute purgatory. I talked about this earlier in the conference play, even towards the latter end of non-con. He's in that 7-minute purgatory where he's getting 7 minutes a game, and he's putting up like a 1 rebound, 0 for 1 from the field stat line, but he's good on defense. And then all of a sudden, completely was taken out. And we've seen probably a total in the last, 5 games, probably a total of like 10 minutes from him, maybe, if that. There's a couple games he didn't play at all. I think if you're going to pick somebody, it's probably going to be him. I think, but at the same time, if you look at a guy whose plus minus is big, who can hit a big shot, who has more experience out there, I think you're probably looking at Jaden Dawson. in terms of what fits right now. Hopefully it's going to be Cole. I think it's going to be Jaden, excuse me.
Yeah, well, Rosario and Tiller, two guys that I said earlier, I think Kansas, to reach their ultimate ceiling, need to be offensive stalwarts for Kansas, and obviously Cole has fallen out of the rotation. Other guys have picked up the slack. I think both Elmarko and Jamari, to an extent, have brought forth some offensive game, but needless to say, both Trey White and Melvin Council have been way better offensive players than we probably anticipated. We're still doing our mailbag segment, but what if we bring in a special guest to join our mailbag segment who
Come on over here, Henry.
No rush. Take your time. Henry Greenstein, KUSports.com, and the Lawrence Journal World.
This is actually a good this next one's a good question.
I
for
know,
Henry,
man.
probably.
I was like, we might as well get in Henry, and we'll get your microphone all ready and all good, Elijah. Cool. Yeah, sounds good. All right, so we're gonna wait for the all good before we bring Henry on for this special mailbag segment. But this next one, yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking. Is Henry might have more thoughts on this than we do, or at least more insight. Chris wants to know: there's frequent online speculation about Melvin Council maybe applying for another year of eligibility because one of his years was JUCO. Has anyone asked him or Coach Self if this is the plan, or at least a possibility? So I don't know if you've heard anything on this front. Nobody has specifically, at least at the press conferences, asked Coach Self about that, but obviously the JUCO situation maybe adds a little bit of flexibility. Henry Greenstein, thanks for coming in, man, and joining us here for the end of this mailbag segment. Have you heard any? I'm sure you've heard the rumblings because people love Melvin so much, but is that a possibility?
So the current status quo is no. Like as things stand now, no. But if there's a successive legal action, maybe. So essentially, he played 2 years, as you noted, Dan. Yeah. He played 2 years at Monroe College, one at Wagner and one at St. Bonaventure. His career would have been over after last season if not for the initial JUCO waiver that we all remember, which remember it was going to get David Coit an extra year. That's why Melvin has an extra year. But the way that was worded is it's 1 year. It's no matter how long you were in JUCO, it's 1 year. So if he were to try to obtain another one, which this is the same reason why you saw guys like Dean Miller and the Dye brothers enter the portal, even though they're technically out of eligibility, it would require pending legal action that hasn't happened yet. Of course, the way the NCAA is going now.
Oh, my God.
Never say never.
Right.
But as of now, no.
And Betty Yako, you said there's news on that today.
They got
well, the judge they recused
Stepped
him
down,
right?
Yes.
Recused, and I had to
NCAA's
Google.
motion was approved to get him recused, which was funny to me because I think one of the NCAA's exhibits in their motion was just a bunch of Reddit comments saying he shouldn't be allowed to take part. But apparently that was persuasive to the
well,
the
fair
legal
enough.
system.
I will say this: I was going to save this for stock market. I probably still will. You could vote for Charles Bediako to be in the G League All-Star game. And a lot of people were spanning that. I know they took it off, which I think is
that's
horrible.
That's a bummer. Next one here as we roll through this mailbag segment. Andy says, what is your favorite sports moment or event, the moment that fills you with the greatest awe, elation, joy? One you participated in or were a spectator to in person or watching live on TV? Well, I know what yours is. September 12th.
2019 when I got my the most meaningful playing time in a football game. I played in three snaps. Two of them were victory formation. That's probably the best one for me. Henry's is probably some Cal State Fullerton baseball game. I would imagine.
Hey, Cal State Fullerton baseball is a wagon.
They are. They really
Yeah, they're pretty good.
Yeah.
Can I just go with the entirety of the 2019 Blues Stanley Cup? I know you guys are big hockey people.
Yes, we're huge.
You were there. Yeah, you were in St. Louis.
I was in St. Louis for that. I had the opportunity to go to several games in that big winning streak they ripped off in the middle of the season, as well as several as part of the playoff run itself. I'd just go with that run overall. It was really fun to be in the city as it was kind of unified behind them, so that was pretty cool.
Piper's, my fiance's brother-in-law, so her sister's husband, he has a tattoo on his forearm, and it's Roman numerals. It looks really cool, and I was like, what is that? He said, oh, it's the date that the Blues won the Stanley Cup,
Nice.
which I think is just so funny.
Yeah.
It's absolutely incredible.
Hey, fans are going to
yours?
fan. Oh, mine's 2012 KU Mizzou, man. It was on my
Sure,
birthday.
that's fair.
KU needed it. Top 5 matchup at Allen Fieldhouse, down by 19.
That makes sense.
But I also got to go to the triple overtime game. That was
sure.
was big time.
KU Najee has a great question. He says, if you could give a single player on the current day men's basketball team a past trait of a Bill Self era player, who would it be and what? He said, example, I'd give Melvin Council the defensive ability of Marcus Garrett. I actually
really
disagree with that, and I would say I would give Melvin Council the shooting ability of maybe Svi Mikhailuk.
I'm not going to mess with Melvin Council.
You don't think so?
No.
Make him a better shooter.
I think I'm gonna maybe mess with somebody else, which is not a stab at them. But
Sure. How about you give? How about this? How about you give? If this. All right, this would be fun. Give Joel Embiid Darren Peterson's ball handling skills, or maybe DeJuan Harris's availability. Does that mean?
DeJuan Harris's availability is a good one for any player. He only missed that one game against UCF in his entire career.
oh my God, and we were dreadful.
It was the
We were
Shaq
dreadful.
Moore game where Darius Johnson tries to get called for a shooting foul down
God.
3.
Yes, that's a guy I don't miss facing. Any
That's not a bad answer.
any
I don't have
past
a good
traits
answer.
of a Bill Self era player. I mean, I would give.
about
I don't know. There's a lot of things you can do, but let's
KJ
let's
Adams,
give,
Marcus Morris is shooting mid-range.
Since Henry's here, I'll give a example of somebody who was here that Henry covered. I'll give Cole Rosario Grady Dick shooting.
Ooh, that's good.
Yeah, right.
That's good. Yeah, you were here for Grady Dick, right? Or
Yeah.
I was not.
Oh my gosh.
I thought John was
right.
doing a bit because you've messed that up so many times.
No.
No, you came in as he was getting drafted,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
All right.
That's
Well, then I don't know what I'm going to do.
That's
But
You're allowed to say that.
I'll stick with that though.
That's good.
I'll give Cole Grady Dick shooting.
That's a good
I do think that Cole though actually can be. What we should do is we should give like Flory Grady Dick shooting.
true.
You know, I mean,
Yeah, you guys aren't thinking outside the box enough with this.
well, this is why we brought you on.
I like the DeJuan Harris's availability answer.
What's yours, Henry?
for who though?
For Joel Embiid. Because if Kansas has Joel Embiid, they
It's
win.
supposed to be
the
a current
It's
player.
a current
It's supposed
player.
to be a current-
What are you doing?
Oh, sorry,
let Henry
sorry,
talk.
sorry.
Let
Oh,
Henry talk.
You're
I
right.
don't have that.
No, you're
I
right.
don't have
Two
that.
guys, one. All right.
I don't have that great of one. Maybe just like Bryson Tiller, KJ Adams' physicality, or Thomas Robinson.
That's not outside the box.
Okay, no, you're right.
No, but that's good though because Bryson doesn't even.
No, but yeah, you're right. Flory Badunga with like Grady Dick's shooting
Yeah.
is probably
I mean, that
Flory
would be
with Grady Dick
the
shooting
ideal
would be
way to
awesome.
go.
That would be crazy.
That
No,
would be
that's
so
a good
sweet.
question though, KU Najee, as usual. But I like
man.
anybody the defensive ability of Marcus Garrett.
True.
That's true.
We already kind of answered this one. Cole said, "Who's the best mailbag question asker?"
I like when anybody asks mailbound questions except Cole. I think that would be
Cole's
my
are
answer.
fun. He asked if the D2 All-American team could beat KU. I said no. Luke says, would you rather have $10 million or your own pet dragon? You can pick your dragon's size and appearance, and it will always be loyal to you. I think you can make $10 million if you just had a pet dragon. Be like Barnum Brown. Not Barnum Brown.
Barnum and Bailey.
Barnum and Bailey's. Barnum Brown was
think.
the guy who discovered the first T-Rex. By the way, from Carbondale, Kansas.
Really?
Shout out.
Who else of note is from Carbondale?
I'm probably the second most famous person from Carbondale, Kansas, and that is
my
a
God.
low damn bar, Henry.
I got to look this up. There's got to be somebody. City.
Barnum Brown, I'm telling you,
So,
Where is Carbondale? I don't even know.
it's south of Topeka. There's no stoplights.
How far south?
No stoplights. 2 liquor stores.
a pet dragon or $10 million? That's what we're choosing between.
I mean, $10 million.
I don't agree with you that you could get $10 million from having a pet dragon.
Well, you could have your own reality show.
Are you saying
Dan
like
and the Dragon? I mean, I don't know.
So that's $10 million.
Probably total. Yeah.
No.
All right, fine.
I thought you were saying like, are you going to subject the dragon to like scientific study to determine its origin?
I wouldn't do that.
Well,
he's my buddy.
So I think $10 million is probably the more practical choice. The other thing is, the way videos can be manipulated, who's even going to believe you have a dragon
true.
anymore?
That is
See,
true.
but that's why people would buy a ticket
Just some
to
top-
come and see it in person.
It still could be AI in person.
Some topical commentary.
Yes. Carbondale, by the way, shout out to Daniel Forbes Jr., a pioneer in the U.S. Air Force.
yeah, they own
And
Forbes.
to,
I was really good friends
And
with his
to
granddaughter.
Barnum Brown, American Museum of Natural History paleontologist.
Shout out to Susie Forbes.
The two most famous people to come out of Osage County.
No, not Osage County. Blake Trinan, by the way. Blake Trinan.
Yes.
He came from Osage City.
You know who's really good from Shawnee? Keaton Wagler from Illinois. 46 points.
I've heard some people might be
true.
wondering why certain schools didn't.
Well, that's just rampant speculation.
One more. This is from Elijah. How will you be celebrating your episode 100? This is our 100th episode, Henry.
It is?
Yeah, here on Kansas Nation.
Oh, my goodness.
I know, isn't that amazing?
I'm so excited to be here for
Do you want
it.
to pop some champagne or something? We were going to wear like tuxedos, but decided against it.
Man, I don't know.
I will
Grab a beer.
celebrate it by saying I think you guys are doing a good job.
Thanks, Henry. Appreciate that.
Nice.
We've got pool. We've got shuffleboard over there. We could do something like that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Crack open a beer.
We could,
Pop some
maybe do
champagne. I
that.
have champagne right here. I'm not going to pop it open.
Maybe Friday. Yeah, I think Gurley would be upset.
He
if
would
did
be.
that.
This is Greg's.
God, that's
Isn't that
sweet.
nice?
Yeah, that's slick.
Yeah.
That's our KU mailbag segment. Henry, if you're able to stick around, then next segment we'll talk a little bit more specifics regarding KU athletics. Coming up on Rock Chalk Sports, KansasNation.com, ESPN, Kansas City. Welcome back to Rock Chalk Sports here in the Kansas Nation studio. We've got Henry Greenstein in studio, KUSports.com, LJWorld.com. Sticking around here for a second segment. Want to recognize a new sponsor that we have here at Kansas Nation, Jocelyn's Jewelry. Anybody who is familiar with them knows that they do phenomenal work. Locally owned for over 40 years, Gary Jocelyn and his entire family proud to have earned the trust of 3 generations of customers. Gary and his team believe Jocelyn's customers come back again and again and refer their family and friends because they treat each customer with respect and integrity that they deserve while offering the best in fine jewelry, all at a fair price. You wouldn't believe how many customers come in and say they were quoted $400 to fix a ring, and it's under $200 at Jocelyn's to fix the same ring. So if you need a chain or other items fixed, they often can do it while you sit there and wait. That's what Jocelyn's is about. You need something timely, done right, and in business you can trust. Jocelyn's Jewelry, 95th and Antioch, right in front of the big grocery store, so you can't miss them. Jocelyn's Jewelry, the jewel you will recommend to your family and friends because you can trust Jocelyn's. Really big fans of them, and happy to have that partnership here at Kansas Nation.
Yeah, Henry, I know you have a big diamond-encrusted Cuban link chain with HG on it, and I know you needed it fixed. Go over to Jocelyn's.
Great idea, Dan. And, you know, as soon as you started looking over to me, I knew you were about to say something ridiculous.
Something California related. Oh, that's
Well,
how
no,
I
I
feel
wasn't
every
even
day.
California. Henry's just always
Can we
wearing the
cut-
big chains and the sunglasses. And
Can we cut that?
The big
I
hats
want to
and
cut exactly what Henry just said, just to save it. Great idea, Dan. As soon as you started looking at me, I knew you were about to say something ridiculous. I would like to put that in a poster in front of my desk because that's he looks at me a lot, and things happen. But Henry, I'm glad that you could make it over here. I'm sure the trek was absolutely tumultuous for you, as you're not used to the white stuff on the ground coming over from the Pacific Coast. But appreciate you making the time in. KU basketball, big news today that I know was groundbreaking for guys like you. The CBS Sports Classic welcoming KU with open arms. This was purely speculative, but I'm sure there's a little bit of truth behind it. UCLA was prior in this event. They weren't this past season or this current season, I guess. I assume that's Big Ten related, the fact that they're in the Big Ten and Ohio State's in the Big Ten, because Kansas now joins the field that had 3 teams that have been in the field since it started back in 2014, Ohio State, Kentucky, UNC. Your thoughts on this and the fact that it's going to be another marquee tournament, MTE, if you will, for KU basketball?
Yeah, that's a good point about the conference affiliation. I hadn't thought about that. I think their AD's stated reasoning was scheduling flexibility.
Okay.
Just not, but you're right. You wouldn't want to play a team in your own conference in one of these MTEs. I think it's cool. I do think that the number of spots available on KU's schedule is dwindling quite steadily.
We figured it out. We think that there's still time, or there's still a spot, since you're done with UNC and you're done with NC State. You've got a return trip to Stores.
Yes.
So there's that. And then if you play 3 in the Players era.
Well, that's a big if.
Okay.
Because they're expanding to 32 teams.
Okay.
They haven't announced the format yet, but there's been some talk that it may be you have to come back for another week if you're one of the best.
Oh my
teams,
God.
or something like
That's
that.
the only thing that's worse than last year's format. But we'll assume 3 since that's what it was this
All
year.
right.
So you're at UConn.
Yeah.
You got 3 with Players era. You got Champions Classic. You now have CBS Sports Classic. You got Missouri. So that's 7, which there are 5 bye games on this current schedule. if there are 5 bye games with the Green Bays and Princeton of the world, then that's 12. That would give you one more, which since you're going to UConn, I assume would be a big name coming to Allen Fieldhouse.
Yeah.
But yeah, interesting, right? Because the options are limited at this point.
Yeah, and I've been pitching UCLA for a home and home for several years now. But
the Henry Greenstein Classic.
I'm sure you have.
It hasn't come to fruition yet, but I do think, considering that you go to less and less exciting places for MTEs and stuff these days, going to LA might not be all that bad.
What, Vegas isn't good enough for you?
I mean, I don't know. No comment
Henry's banned
on that
from
one.
Vegas.
You know what's interesting, by the way, is not next year, but the year after, they have a game at Allegiant Stadium.
We were talking about that too.
And the Players Era.
So, well, the Players Era is KU, and you know better than I, is KU signed on for, because the official release mentioned that 2026, obviously Kansas in the Players Era. I assume it's going to continue to be the marquee event that it is, and I assume that Kansas is going to be in it every year.
I kind of feel like they're going to be in it as long as they can because of the payouts.
Yeah, but yeah, that'd be 2 trips.
Self did say recently the players hadn't gotten the money yet.
Right.
He said that at one of the press conferences a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
But I'm sure they will because the Players Era paid reliably last year. But yeah, I think they'll stay in it for as long as they can because at least until now, no one else has really been able to quite replicate this NIL payout situation. And honestly, I'm surprised. I tweeted about this the other day. I'm surprised more MTEs haven't tried to copy them. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, almost full already on the schedule for next year. And I know you were being sarcastic initially when you referred to this as earth-shaking news or whatever, but this is the kind of stuff that I enjoy.
Oh,
so.
Yeah.
You kidding me? We didn't have an open without it.
Yeah, we opened up the show with it. Like Sean and I were on our way back from Kansas City for a work meeting, and we got the email, and we're like, "That's our open."
Yep.
There it is, right there. So,
But
big
Ohio
news.
State,
Yeah,
that's an okay opponent.
yeah.
Solid.
I mean, I would throw them in the same realm as Michigan State. Obviously, Michigan State's good this year, but in terms of recent history, I guess.
Yeah,
I mean,
and they haven't played KU in 13 years.
Yeah, 2012.
Ohio State?
2012.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that was the last
They
time.
played the
Faced it
Final
twice.
Four, and then they played the following season.
That's right. Oh my gosh, that's actually insane.
I think it was the same year. I can't remember because they had Aaron Kraft.
Yeah, so they played. Yeah, is that right?
I want to say it was December of 11.
And then they
So
played the Final
11,
Four
12, and then they played the Final Four 12. Either way, it's been a long time. But
Yeah. Either
But
way, excited for the future. Obviously, this is going to be a lot of fun. But want to talk about Kansas basketball as it pertains right now. Obviously, coming off of a big time road win in Manhattan. I want your thoughts on this, Henry. You did not make the trek out there.
not.
I did. It was only me and Jordan Gusky.
It's unbelievable.
Who were out there. Greg Eklund was out there too, I believe. Those are the only 3 KU guys who were out there. But obviously, a big time win for Kansas. 24 points. Melvin Council was great. Elmarko Jackson comes off the bench and has his career high. You had Flory, the Flory that we all know and love, and then Bryson obviously on the upward tick as well. Your takeaways from the K-State game?
Yeah, I mean, such a team effort. Exactly what they needed with Peterson out to have guys like Elmarko and Bryson contribute to the level we know they're capable of. I'd like to see Elmarko in particular do that somewhat more reliably, but he knows and Self knows that his primary value is on the defensive end at this point in his career. So I guess anything they get on offense from him is gravy. But that was good, especially getting to the free throw line, which is something. Yeah. The way the athleticism he has and the way he's able to contort his body, you should do that all the time. But it was a great game. And how many times have we talked about KU conceding a back-breaking run? You think about West Virginia. In this case, 27-7 to finish the game. I mean, that's pretty remarkable. They basically made K-State give up, which is a great accomplishment for them. By the way, I just have a take I'd like to throw out here, which is, remember last year when K-State had that run where it was like, since January 13th, Kansas State has been the best team in the country. Remember that?
Yeah.
And they went on a big winning streak. I think that's about to happen again. I'm just saying.
Really? Okay.
I'm just saying that. I feel like rarely does K-State have a season where they're just uniformly bad. I feel like they're about to rip off another. Ken Palm has Kansas State as the 4th best team since February 1st.
Remember that. Yeah.
I'm just saying. But anyway, it was a good win for KU. They took care of business. We've been talking about since they started 1 and 2. Kind of had to win the next 4 games. They did that. Now they enter the gauntlet for the next month or so.
Well, let's talk about Flory in the game against K-State because he was so impressive in so many ways. How there wasn't a foul called when he got bear hugged up top, that was a little confusing.
Yes.
Wasn't it? I mean,
the guy reached around and grabbed
oh my
his
God.
head.
It is, yeah, Flory handled it well, man. I mean, that I don't even know if I would have been able to not say something. If I tried to do anything, I would have obviously been leveled. But
That's fair. He's a big boy.
But Flory, took it in stride and had a great game, 21-10. But Henry, I mean, Jeremy Case was speaking on Hawk Talk Monday night, and he was asked this question. And as Haney was asking Coach Case the question, I was like, I think I know who he's going to say. And it was, who is the best defender, or who is the best defender as it relates to switching and your ability to do that? And he said Flory. You look at Flory, some of those possessions against P.J. Haggerty or Nate Johnson, whoever it was driving for K-State, and he held his own, and a lot of times he would finish it off with a block or denial of some sort. Really impressive for a guy of his size.
Yeah, it really, really is, and that's what when they're switching well, that's what allows them to be effective, as Case kind of indicated with that answer. It's always funny to me because I know these guys on the opposing teams have watched film, but every time they get switched onto Flory, they still try to attack on the switch like they're just on any 5-man, and it never works. And, this is one of those things. There was almost a moment of foreshadowing last year. You'll recall in the home loss to West Virginia, a game I'm sure you're very fond of looking back on. In the home loss to West Virginia, when they were struggling, they went to switching 5, or I guess at least switching 4, and had Flory on guards, and it was like a revelation. And I feel like that kind of laid the groundwork for what we're seeing this year. He's gotten a lot better at it, going beyond his natural ability to keep pace and his agility in that respect. And, it's been exceptional. Tiller has gotten a little bit better at that, too. Obviously, he's still got some work to do in that end. But, Haggerty's one of the best offensive guards in the country. Sticking with him is no small feat. And Flory was disciplined, and that was a big part of the victory for sure.
Yeah. Henry Greenstein, KSports.com, and the Lawrence Journal World joins us here in studio. Henry, obviously a big one coming up against BYU. I have a question about Darren Peterson, because you look at the Iowa State game, you look at the Baylor game, even you look at the Colorado game, and all of a sudden it feels like, Sean and I talked about this, where before, whenever Darren was out, you had two teams, one with Darren and one without. Two very different teams. All of a sudden, you started seeing the chemistry. You started seeing Melvin and Darren figure out how to play on the court together again. Will this K-State game essentially be a step back from that? Do you see them kind of reverting back, and do you think this could be potentially a bad thing for guys like Melvin and Trey whenever Darren does come back for the BYU game? All indications are pointing towards he will be playing in this. Has that thought crossed your mind at all, as this could potentially be a setback?
It's crossed my mind, but maybe from a different angle from what you're saying. If it were me, my greater concern would be, how do we make this, like from a KD perspective, how do we make this Kansas versus BYU not the Darren Peterson versus AJ DeBonsa game? I just feel like, and Darren's obviously a humble and workman-like guy. Like, I don't think this is something he's necessarily going to be thinking about. But with all the attention that surrounds this game, everyone who's going to be there, all the high stakes when it really is just kind of a random conference game in late January, like, this needs to be a team-based performance in which everyone chips in the way they did against K-State, even though the storyline out in the world, and I shouldn't do it. I just published an article on Peterson versus DeBonsa this morning. So.
Yeah, it starts with us.
Yeah. But
you're pushing the agenda.
The storyline is 20% of the guys who are going to be out there on the floor at any given time. Like, there's a lot more going on. And so that kind of ties into what you were saying, because in some ways, the rest of the Jayhawks have to operate in the way they were when Peterson was off the floor, even though obviously a massive spotlight's going to be on him every time he touches the ball on Saturday.
Yeah, and kind of to that point, it's not just DeBonsa for BYU. This is a top 15 team, and I love talking bracketology, seeding projections, and we'll do that more in February as I try to remain patient on that. Back when I was a kid, I used to literally get like those legal pads, and I would do my own bracketology to where I would like compare strengths of schedules and all that, and do little brackets and all that. And that can wait a little bit more when I'm an adult. But as we look at BYU being also 5-2, this is important for potentially tie-breaking scenarios. Who knows when it comes to seeding in the Big 12 tournament. And that matters to some people. You would think, if Kansas is the 3 seed instead of the 4 seed in the Big 12 tournament or anything like that, that might matter. But more importantly, Kansas can finish higher, theoretically, if they get a victory. You got to win your home games. BYU in particular, though, they've got more than just DeBonsa. They've got Richie Saunders and Rob Wright, who also average over 18 a game. I mean, you talk about the volume from a scoring standpoint. 3 guys averaging upwards of 60. What concerns you most about BYU, and what's Kansas going to have to do? Because, look, BYU has beaten us the last 2 years. They killed us in Provo last year, and then they beat us at Allen Fieldhouse the year prior. Different guys, I get it, but your thoughts on these Cougars in particular?
Yeah, they've absolutely got more than just DeBonsa, to the point they didn't give him the ball on the decisive possession against Arizona. But I don't blame Wright for trying to take it to the rim. It was a reasonable decision in the moment, and KU fans have seen what Wright taking the ball to the rim looks like, to the tune of 60 points and a half.
So you're going to bring up the West Virginia loss at home and the Baylor 20-point lead that disappeared in the same segment.
These things are permanently
What's
etched.
next, Henry?
I mean, I can bring up Houston.
Nope.
No.
These things are permanently etched in my brain. But no, it's a great trio, and that's not even to mention Keita, who's a big body and athletic, and Davis is back on track. He was shooting terribly, I think, and he got 5 threes or whatever. So he's back in the swing of things. One of the better starting lineups in the Big 12. The DeBonsa matchup is where it all begins, though, because KU doesn't have like a quick. I mean, I don't know if anyone quite has a good physical fit for DeBonsa, being that he's 6'9" and a ball handler and athletic and whatever, but for Trey White and Bryson Tiller, that's going to be tough, and they're going to be the primary guys charged with handling that. I'll be interested to see how KU chooses to switch in this game, because BYU likes to use ball screens to put DeBonsa in favorable Case said this on Hawk Talk. They try to get him switched onto the worst defender on the floor. So whoever's the perceived worst defender for KU at any given moment has to be ready to try to stand up to AJ DeBonsa in an ISO, which could be challenging. But you're right. Like, with all the penetration he gets, Saunders gets plenty of open looks. Wright gets plenty of opportunities for his own drives when defenses are in disarray. It's going to be really, really challenging. I'm less worried about the supporting cast, both because they're not as good as AJ DeBonsa, but also because KU's guards have been more consistently solid defensively, especially with Elmarko trending in the right direction, and I think he'll be asked to play a big role on Wright and Saunders. But yeah, you're absolutely right. Like, this is going to be one of the biggest tests KU faces. I still don't know why the Big 12 didn't make this a home and home with BYU and Provo.
It's a crime.
But certainly, like, going to be a lot of anticipation for this matchup, and it's not just because of DeBonsa, it's because of those 3 guys.
Yeah, 100%. KU BYU going on this weekend, Saturday at 3:30. You can hear pregame coverage starting on Sports Radio 810 WHB starting at 1 o'clock with David Lawrence and Sean Kellerman. Henry, as we know, you tipped us off to this. You had exclusive coverage to some spring sports coaches coming up here for the University of Kansas.
The law firm.
You spoke to the law firm of Fitzgerald and McFalls. No, I like Fitzgerald and McFalls.
Yeah.
That's probably better. Obviously, Coach Fitz coming off of a huge year last year, obviously fell in the NCAA tournament, and then Jennifer McFalls is always kind of around there. There's always, at least in the middle of the season, there was talks about them potentially make the NCAA tournament, and they're bringing in a lot of girls as well. Give us a preview of kind of what you talked about with Coach Fitz and Coach McFalls.
Well, there's so much to discuss, and I'm excited we've made it to this time of year. I mean, for one thing, I really like covering those sports and the opportunity presents itself. I feel like, just from an inside baseball perspective, as it were,
there it is.
It's fun to write a game story for baseball or softball, because you don't look down and miss the most important thing that happened in the game.
True.
There are fewer significant moments. You can spend more time talking about each of them. So I like covering them. But in a broad perspective, I mean, with baseball, you got a returning core of guys you can rely on, but they're going to be asked to do slightly different things. If you think about how Brady Ballinger is going to be out in left field this year. Dario Osorio is going to be playing second base. He was a DH all last season. They got a couple of guys who can play second, but you'd have to expect Osorio in the field a little bit, and that's one thing I talked to Fitz about. He basically said, he referenced looking out his window at one point this summer when there was a youth tournament going on, and it was 1,000,000 degrees out, and between games, Osorio was having a teammate go out and do grounders to him so he could practice.
That's awesome.
Because that's the work he had to put in to be able to play in the field. So some good returning guys, and I'm sure you saw D1 baseball named Brady Ballinger its preseason player of the year or whatever for the Big 12. So
yeah,
lots of expectations for him, and he's one of the core guys transferring the culture that we saw have so much success last season. But a fair amount of question marks. There's a lot of players coming in who it's reasonable to have high expectations for. Tyson LeBlanc, a shortstop from LSU Eunice. Dylan Schlotterbach, the third baseman, coming from Paris Junior College. Josh Dykoff in the kind of first base right field realm. They have great catchers, and Jordan Bach. Jordan Bach, by the way, might be the single most impactful newcomer, in part because he can play like catcher and outfield. He came from Southern Illinois, I believe, and then they also have Augusto Munguerieta behind the plate. So a lot of big names, or a lot of new names we expect to make big impacts. We'll just have to see how it all pans out. You know, last year, Max Solis had the starting job at catcher at the beginning of the year and then ended up kind of fading the rest of the time. How does he do this time around? There are a lot of roles that will likely shuffle as the season goes on once we start seeing more action. And then a little bit on softball. Like, last year was kind of a disappointment. They returned a lot of players from a previous season when they narrowly missed the tournament, and those players kind of had a bitter feeling about how they didn't quite follow through at the very end. They had a long losing streak, and they didn't really pick up on it all that much. Olivia Bruno had a great year, but she's gone. The good news for KU this season is basically everyone who played in the field for them is back. They have a lot of returning production with players like who you're used to hearing at this point, like Presley Limbaugh, Ainsley Lindoff, Campbell Bagshaw, all those sorts of players. And they have 7 seniors who provide a lot of leadership. There are some questions in the circle. They have 9 pitchers, I believe, McFall said, which is probably the most they've had at any point. Kaylee Washington is probably going to take a huge step forward.
Shout out Santa Fe Trail. She went to my high school.
Exactly. She could be their number 1 pitcher this year. We'll see. As a
You went to her high school.
I went to her high school.
Yeah.
She's from Overbrook, by the way.
We can put. Oh, she's not from Carbondale.
She's not from Carbondale.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Want to clear the air on that.
We can't put her above you.
No.
But yeah, and Kennedy Diggs also saw time as a freshman. They still have Lizzie Ludwig. They brought in a transfer from Wichita State, Chloe Barber, who got off to a great start to her career but didn't do as well last year. So some questions there. And some freshmen coming in. Keep an eye on Ella Boyer, freshman catcher from Spring, Texas. Big power hitter. But I'm not really sure what to expect. You know, they start playing a week from Friday in Florida.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I know. I think they play Bethune-Cookman and Illinois State on Thursday. So the law firm.
The law firm. Oh, God. Of the somebody in the Redbirds.
So we'll see. We'll see exactly how it unfolds for them. I don't really know what to expect. You like the idea of a lot of continuity in senior leadership, but you don't necessarily know whether that will produce better results than last season. We shall see.
You guys will never, ever in a billion years guess the mascot of Bethune-Cookman.
The Ed Reeds.
No.
Oh. He was their head coach for like a month.
Hold on. I keep wanting to say the Jaguars, but it's not, is it?
Henry would know if anybody.
I didn't.
You'll never get it.
Trojans?
You'll never get it.
The
Wildcats.
Oh. Lame.
Henry, leave us with your favorite Kansas winter outdoor activity. We were dying to know. You don't get to experience the absolute amazing
Hold on.
snow,
Do you have
cold,
a favorite Kansas winter outdoor activity?
sledding.
Okay.
Yeah.
I guess mine would probably be like walking around.
Oh, that is
You
so
like
good.
walking
Wow,
around.
what a great,
Man.
Maybe
what a
like
great
maybe
activity.
like I don't know. I haven't been down to Clinton Lake. Is it nice when it's snowing?
I have no idea.
Okay.
I
Probably
have
cold
absolutely
and
no
windy.
idea.
I would
have
imagine.
I don't have a favorite snowy activity in any location.
That's fair.
So
Yeah,
did you?
this
You had
is-
to buy your coat when you moved here, I guess.
No, that one's actually been around for a while.
Okay. Wow.
But I have bought some new winter apparel for sure.
I have a question. The first time you saw snow, was it in undergrad?
No.
Okay, you've seen snow before.
I think
He's
you may
traveled.
think that California is a bit more.
Because you had never
Well, there's
left.
mountains, I guess.
Yeah.
All right, fair enough.
But you had never left California.
Well,
before.
that's the other thing about it. It's just having been to other parts of the
I don't know. You never know.
Good stuff. Henry Greenstein, KUSports.com, LJWorld.com. He's got good articles up there now talking about KU now being added to the CBS Sports Classic field, as well as a breakdown of Peterson and DeBonsa, which it's not just those two on Saturday, but KU BYU is Saturday at 3:30. Crimson and Blue show starts at 2. But yeah, check out KUSports.com, LJWorld.com in the meantime if you get a chance. Henry, thanks again for coming in.
My pleasure.
Bonus time with the California Kid here on this Wednesday. After this, we're talking NFL. Hey, it's a bye week. We got to do some national stuff, right?
Yeah.
We're going to continue that little coaching carousel stuff next on Rock Chalk Sports, KansasNation.com, ESPN, Kansas City. Well, Dan will be the first to tell you about Between Two Fountains.
That's
the
right.
new podcast. It's up. Greg Gurley and Mick Schaefer on KansasNation.com. I know that's You're so happy that that's the name they settled on.
I am. They
Yeah.
had a couple of other really good ones. That
What were some other ones? And what were some potential names that they didn't go with?
I don't know if I can say them on air, but yeah, be sure to check that out. Also, Timeout, Tyshawn Taylor, Haney and the Hawks, the Jayhawker podcast, Legends of Kansas, and of course, Rock Chalk Sports here on Kansas Nation. Everywhere you find your podcast, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud, literally anywhere you find your podcast, just look up Kansas Nation. You will find all of those everywhere. Watch them on YouTube. Watch them on kansasnation.com. You can find them on kansasnation.com all the way down in the featured videos as well. So be sure to check those out. Also, want to plug this. I'm going to be out at Rally House on Saturday from noon to 2 o'clock.
Is it going to be the Rally House across the street right here?
No, it's not going to be the Rally House across the street. It's going to be the Rally House on 23rd, right beside Crunch Fitness by Freddy's over there on Iowa and 23rd Street.
Rip to CC's Pizza.
Yes, R.I.P. CC's
Right.
Pizza. I know. But I'm going to be out there. It's going to be a lot of fun. So come out. We're going to be doing a ton of different giveaways, different stuff like that. Buy some stuff from Rally House. If you don't have any KU stuff or you need some new KU stuff, be sure to check out Rally House. Swing by right before the KU BYU game because, like I said, I'm going to be out there doing a lot of stuff. I'll be signing autographs too. I can't imagine anybody wants one, but I will be signing.
No, nobody will be signing.
Nobody
But
wants. Nobody
if I'm
wants
not mistaken, you will be bringing Elijah
I'm going
Schmidt.
to insist. I'm going to say, please take my autograph. And they're going to say no. And I will be bringing Elijah Schmidt. He's never shown his face on these cameras before. So you'll get it the first time you'll ever see Elijah Schmidt's face
in the flesh.
In the flesh. That is why you should come to Rally House this Saturday.
Yes.
From noon to 2, right before the KU BYU game.
23rd and Iowa. Noon to 2, you said? That's perfect.
Noon to 2.
Noon to 2.
Yes.
Go
right
out,
afterwards,
get
I'm going to be
some
sprinting
gear,
back. Yeah.
Get some free garb, and then games at 3:30. So you're going to be set up. Come down to Mass Street or anywhere else you'd like to watch the game. Maybe you're going to the game. Support the guys. But yeah, swing by the Kansas Nation. Not really a tent. We'll call it a table. And say hey to Dan and Elijah over at the Rally House on 23rd and Iowa. All right. Do want to point out as well, you can find us on social media, Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook. We appreciate all the likes and all the subscriptions as well. Dan, catch us up on the NFL coaching carousel. Certainly some strange ones. Probably the biggest name was the early hire of John Harbaugh by the New York Football Giants. And since then, obviously, there have been some coaches that have found some new spots. Matt Nagy. Yesterday, it was announced that Joe Brady will be heading to the Bills. Jesse Minter from the Chargers, he goes to be the head man now with the Ravens. What a job that is. The Steelers hired Mike McCarthy, which we haven't talked about a lot. I thought that was kind of a strange hire, but he is a Pittsburgh guy. Obviously a little bit older, longer in the tooth, as is the new Browns head football coach that they announced today, Todd Monken.
Yes. I want to start off with Todd Monken because Todd Monken was in the running for the KU job after Les Miles was fired, I believe. He was at Army, and it was down kind of between Monken and Lance Leipold. I want to say there was another guy, too.
Dave Doran.
That's right, Dave Doran. So you had three guys. Obviously, Lance Leipold did wind up winning the job. Tom Monken, I think part of it was just he was a little bit too old, I think. And they kind of wanted a guy to be set up for the future. I think Lance is obviously that guy. But congratulations to Todd Monken for going into the dumpster fire that is the Cleveland Football Browns. They do have a Pro Bowl quarterback right now on the roster in Shedeur Sanders. You didn't think that was crazy. I think that's insane.
I just don't think that it warranted a gasp that made me think that somebody was in trouble
Shedeur
outside.
Sanders, who has the worst QBR in the NFL as a Pro Bowler, deserves a gasp. His QBR was 18.
That's pretty bad.
Yeah, it's bad. He had, what do you have, 7 touchdowns and 10 interceptions? Something like that?
Yeah, 7 and 10.
Like 1,400 yards, like right on the dot. Horrible. And I don't know, fan favorite, whatever. That's fine. But it's an absolute dumpster fire over there with the Browns. I mean, they still have Myles Garrett, I guess. Their defense is good, but it'll be interesting to see kind of how Todd Monken kind of takes that. Kevin Stefanski, who was there, is now with the Falcons. So the Falcons have found their guy after firing Raheem Morris. John Harbaugh is with the Giants. We kind of touched on that a little bit. Then I'm just going to kind of catch you up and roll you through kind of who all has been where everything has kind of been shuffled around. Like I said, John Harbaugh, it's going to be weird seeing him in red and blue after seeing him in purple and gold for so long. I don't know how that's really going to work out. Also, fun fact for you, every NFL coach who has won a Super Bowl has never won another Super Bowl with their next team.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
There's never been a coach who has won a Super Bowl with 2 teams, I believe.
Super Bowl with 2 teams, period?
I think.
Or their next team?
With their next, with their second team.
Okay.
I'm pretty
trying
sure
to think
that's
if
true.
there's anybody we've missed.
I think Bruce Arians maybe was the closest.
I mean, Andy Reid obviously had almost won.
Yeah,
with
Andy
the
went
Eagles.
to 1 with the Eagles. But there's been coaches who have coached.
You're right.
And then bounced
no
around.
has won with 2 different teams.
Yes. Bingo. Look at that.
Belichick thought maybe with the Browns had gotten it done, and we just forgot about it.
Yeah, no, he did not.
Didn't happen.
Like you said, Mike McCarthy is now the Steelers coach, which is the reunion everybody was asking for. Aaron Rodgers and Mike McCarthy. Is this going to force Aaron Rodgers to retire? Probably, right?
God.
He does not like Mike McCarthy.
No, that didn't end well.
No, of course not. He was like very outwardly, they're like, hey, why'd you only win 1 Super Bowl? He's like, look at who our stupid coach was. Like, he hates Mike McCarthy. So I can't imagine Aaron Rodgers is going to be coming back anytime soon. Steelers are going to have to do something about the quarterback spot because as of right now, it's not looking great. Steelers are okay. And it's fun. I actually like that Mike McCarthy got this job because he's a Pittsburgh guy. Like you said, he grew up rooting for the Steelers, and that's his dream job. I'm really happy that he's back because I actually do think he's a good coach. I think he just kind of got an unfair shake with the Cowboys. I think that's an impossible job to be able to take. Jesse Minter, who's the offensive coordinator for the I almost said San Diego, the LA Chargers. Now he is the head coach of the Ravens. So must have done a really good job in terms of interviewing. Also, I think the Ravens are looking for a young guy to potentially set them up for the future so they don't have to hire someone a little bit older and potentially kind of go the route of cycling through some of the older guys, right? So I really like that pick. I think it's kind of proving that, hey, you can go with one of the younger up-and-coming guys with a powerhouse like the Ravens. Joe Brady was knocked up to the Bills spot. He obviously was the offensive coordinator for the Bills this past year. Then they fired Sean McDermott. Then they interviewed Phillip Rivers, which was so weird. And then
Phillip Rivers removed himself from...
Yeah.
Phil's
like, what are we doing? What am I doing? This is insane. Which... good for Joe Brady. I know he's been in, like, his name has been flown around for probably the last 5 or 6 years in terms of head coaching jobs. Never gotten one before. So this is going to be his first one, and it's with the team that he's already been with. Obviously, Josh Allen likes him a lot, so I think this is going to be a really good step forward for him. Also makes me nervous for the Chiefs because I like Joe Brady as a coach, and I think he's going to get the Bills back on the right track. The Titans, they hire Robert Saleh. Is this going to be another career resurgence for a failed New York Jets experiment?
Yeah, but was he really failed? They fired him when they were 2-3.
Yeah,
and
he
did not get much. Woody Johnson has an ego that is as big as it gets in the industry.
Right.
And yeah, I mean, solid. Good for him, by the way, getting back into it. And yeah, I think that's really good. I think it's an exciting time. Honestly, if I wanted to be a fan of an up-and-coming team, I think I would go with Tennessee. That's how much I like that hire because they've got a new stadium coming up. How crazy is it that they had a stadium that was built in 1999 and now they're already building a new stadium, Nissan Stadium, which is directly adjacent to the old Nissan Stadium, and it won't be ready for 2026, but it will be ready for 2027. But yeah, I like the Robert Saleh hire a lot, and obviously they have Cam Ward as well. So exciting potentially for the Titans, but who knows on that front.
Yes.
Got about one more minute. Anybody else you want to touch on?
So Aaron Glenn.
Signetti to Vegas? Is that going to happen?
I don't know. I doubt it. I really doubt it. So the only 2 teams right now who have not hired anybody is the Cardinals, who are incredibly irrelevant. I talked with Henry about this off air, and then the Raiders. They have not hired anybody yet. A lot of really good prospects who are out there right now for them. Matt Nagy, all of a sudden, not really in any of the head coaching spots. The Philadelphia Eagles are looking to hire Matt Nagy as their offensive coordinator now, which is interesting because a lot of turnover for the Eagles. even though they're keeping Nick Sirianni around, a lot of different things in the coaching staff that are going to be changing. Probably going to be Matt Nagy as their OC. But right now, Raiders, Cardinals, only 2 without a head coach.
I guess we'll see where the Raiders go as it relates to the Mendozas and Signettis of the world. That's going to do it for Rock Chalk Sports. Thanks for watching. We're going to be back on the air tomorrow from 4 to 6. We're going to have Brian Haney on the show, perhaps another special guest as well. For Elijah Schmidt running the operations and Dan Courtwright, Sean Kellerman saying we'll catch you then. KansasNation.com, ESPN, Kansas City.